Whilst checking one of my favourite facts, I found a very tenuous connection between eyes and ice cream. I'll explain how. But first, that great fact. The word pupil can mean both the centre of your eye and a school child. And you'd think there would be no connection between the two, but there is. And the same thing occurs in other unconnected languages from English. Now, the reason is the word pupil comes from the Latin pupilla, which means doll or little girl. And that explains clearly the schoolchild reference. But the fact the pupil is so called in your eye is because when you look at somebody, you supposedly see a doll-like reflection of yourself. Talking of Latin, did you know that the first optician in ancient Rome was called Specsavus? No, it's not true. But the Old English name for the centre of your eye was the apple, hence the term the apple of your eye. In your eye, surrounding the pupil, is the iris. Now this is called the iris because of the many colours it has, much like the flower that has that name, and it's named after Iris, the Greek goddess of the rainbow. Now the rest of the eye that you can see is commonly known as the white of the eye, but the correct name is the sclera. Now, if I were an author, I'd definitely use that for the surname of one of my characters, Sarah Sclera. Anyhow, sclera literally means hard, as it's the hard outer coat of the eye. The border between the sclera and the iris is called the limbus, which actually literally means border. In front of the iris and pupil is the cornea, and that's short for cornea tella, which means horny tissue. By horny tissue, we mean fibrous tissue like keratin, and the kerat in keratin is Greek for horn. For example, if you took the Greek for three-horned face, that would be triceratops, like the dinosaur. Anyhow, kerat is the Greek word for horn, and cornu is the Latin word for horn, as in unicorn, one horn. And the Italian for little horn is cornetto. Ta-da! From eyes to ice cream. As a bonus, cornetto in Italy is not an ice cream. With its little horns, it's something more like a croissant. Although croissant is of course French and literally means crescent. There's a tale of how the croissant came to be. The Turks of the Ottoman Empire wanted to conquer Vienna in 1683, and to do so they thought they would tunnel under the city and destroy the foundations. Now, a baker was working late at night, heard noise going on underground, so informed the military, and they went down there and saved the day. The baker then went on to make a pastry to symbolise the great day, and it was supposed to represent the crescent on the Ottoman flag. It's complete poppycock though, and don't believe a word of it, because the first recorded account of this was in a cookery book 250 years later, in 1938. In fact, the only reason I told you that was so that I could justify buying and eating both an ice cream and a croissant. So, from iced pastry. Iced pastry. Iced pastry. Iced pastry.